Let me say something that's going to sound absolutely ridiculous. Harry Potter and GoHighLevel are the reason that I can bring in 10 and sometimes 50 paying clients over the course of 3 days for my business. Harry Potter and GoHighLevel. Now, bear with me here. I'm going to show you exactly how this works, the exact mechanism, the whole system, and you are never going to look at selling the same way again. All those problems you may have had before, trust issues, confidence issues, anxiety, stress, just feeling awkward or uncomfortable, or maybe the prospect is always thinking about it or has to sleep on it. All of that stuff is going to go away. After you see this, after you see how we use reverse selling, you're never going to look at things the same way. Now, we're not going to do this through hype or crazy guarantees or high pressure tactics or timers or magic, luck, any of that stuff. This is simply psychology and sales systems. That's it. This does the selling for us and it removes all of that pressure. But this part is extremely important and you have to listen closely. If you miss what I'm about to say, the whole thing will not make any sense, because this is not about getting better at sales. This is about removing the need to sell in the first place. We're removing that need. It's reverse selling. We're flipping this on its head. Now, here's a quick question for you before we progress. If this sounds familiar, and I mean any of this sounds familiar, this video was made specifically for you. If you have ever felt like you hate sales calls, maybe you feel really anxious, maybe you hate the feeling like you're putting pressure on somebody, maybe you don't like the objections being thrown at you, or you don't know the answer to questions, or you worry that you don't know the answer to questions, or maybe you hate following up with people, you feel like you're hassling them, or maybe they have to go away and think about it and then they disappear and you never know why. Where did they go? They were super interested, but where did they go? They disappeared. Or maybe you just feel like it's awkward. You have to put on a persona, you're not confident with it, and it gets in your way. You really want to progress, you're super confident in your business and your service, but you feel like you can't get past the next level because of the sales component. You self-sabotage as a result, and you don't make any progress. This is going to solve that problem. And honestly, this video is also for you if you just want to be able to close 10 to 50 clients over the course of 3 days. Now, I cannot promise you that. These are just from my experience, these numbers. This is exactly what we have done. I cannot promise you that. I cannot say you're going to achieve that. I'm simply showing you exactly what we did to achieve that very outcome. That's it. Now, in 2026, there is a better way to grow your business, and it's using something called a workshop. Now, this is not a webinar. We don't use pressure, hype, tactics, sales tactics, timers, etc. We don't use any of this. It's not a challenge, none of that stuff. This is a 3-day workshop, and I did not learn how to do this. I was not taught how to do this. I didn't learn it from a course or a program or whatever. No, I did this through simply building it, creating it, and testing it and tweaking it for my own business. And as a result, it worked very, very well. So we started multiplying it. That's how we learned how to do this. Nothing has ever taught us how to do it. Simply down to, I like to provide value, and a 3-day workshop does that. And I know that trust is built over time, and a 3-day workshop does that as well. That's the reality. We always want to build tremendous amounts of value before we ever ask or provide a solution to a problem that someone has. So this is where the 3-day workshop was born. Now, what is a workshop? It's a very, very important question, and I need to explain it to you before we continue. Most people completely misunderstand what this is. Now, when I say a workshop, I don't mean a webinar. I do not mean a webinar. And I definitely don't mean a video sales letter or a presentation or a demo or anything like that. That is not a workshop. A real workshop is a temporary environment where someone spends enough time with you that trust naturally forms. There's no pressure to it. There is no sales. There's no hype, no countdown timers, none of that. And I remember a very specific example where I purchased a product. It was $97. I remember it very, very well. And it was claiming to be a training session. and it was about 90 minutes long, and I had purchased this. Now, to be fair, to be perfectly fair, 30 minutes of it, there was some good stuff, right? There was some educational stuff. I learned a little bit, but the second half of that, the next 60 minutes, was spent pitching me on the next product, which I didn't pay to be pitched, right? That's not what I bought the product for. I wanted to be taught something and build my trust up naturally. And that was the turning point for me. I thought, that's not how you're supposed to do it. And to be fair, the person who did that was super successful. I mean, incredibly successful. But I thought, that's not how I like to sell. I like to sell authentically. I like to build trust. I have people that want to buy from what we do, right? I'm not selling anything. They come to us wanting to buy something because of the way we do it. It's natural. It's organic. Trust forms naturally. Now, trust beats persuasion. It beats any sales tactics. It beats urgency, countdown timers. It's all about time, environment, and familiarity. That's the reality behind it all. Now, there's something called the Harry Potter effect. And this is where this idea comes in, the principles of it come in. Think about this. Across all 8 Harry Potter movies, a character like Ron Weasley, everybody knows, if you've ever come across Harry Potter, you have heard the name Ron Weasley, right? It's the secondary character to Harry. Now, Harry Potter, when you think about Ron Weasley, as you go through the films, you build a sense of trust, right? You build a sense of familiarity with him. Everybody knows the name, you see him all the time, or so that it feels like you see him all the time. But you build this sense of familiarity. You know him, you trust him, you understand him, you feel connected. And that's a secondary character. This is something you'll see across all Hollywood movies, right? Now, Ron Weasley, across 8 films, only appears for 240 minutes. That's it. Only 4 hours of screen time. 240 minutes. Yet, we feel like we trust him. We understand him. Now, imagine this. What if, instead of seeing someone for 4 hours across 8 movies, a business owner spends 6 hours with you in 3 days? Right? Now, there's a big difference. Now, they're not watching a film, but they're learning from you, thinking with you, asking you questions, applying ideas to their own business. Look at the difference there, right? We feel like we know Ron Weasley over the course of 4 hours. What if we added 6 hours to that? Would we feel like we knew the business owner? What if instead of 8 years, because it was basically 1 film per year, right? What if it was in just 3 days? We condensed that time frame down to just 3 days. What if that happened? Now, I'm not talking about spending 6 hours presenting here. Absolutely not. It works a little differently, and I'm going to come on to that. But what we're doing is we're building deep trust, because people are not just passively watching, they're thinking, they're engaging, they're learning, they're asking questions, they're applying it to their own scenario. And that's the secret with workshops. But do you see what's happening here? You're compressing months, if not years, of trust building into a matter of days. And that's why this works. It's not because of persuasion, it's because of proximity. They feel so close to you. Instead of seeing an ad and watching a quick 20-minute video and then getting on a call and trying to sell them, this person is spending hours with you, all automatically. They're building that sense of trust. It does the selling for you. Not because you're pitching, but you're connecting. It's the connection there. That's the secret. So proximity over persuasion. And here's the part that really matters. Most people try to sell. This flips it entirely. This makes people want to buy before you've even mentioned that you have an offer. When we have workshops, we have people asking for the product before it's even live. They don't even know what the product is yet, because it builds the pattern of trust. This is the difference. People want what you have instead of you trying to convince people to buy what you have. What a difference that would be. If someone wanted what you have and they'd spent time with you, they knew who you were, they had built trust, and then they booked a call with you, you don't have to convince them of anything. You don't have to sell them. It's like order taking, right? You're just taking the order at that point. Now, let me give you some context to this so that it makes more sense. This strategy works for any service, agencies, consultants, coaches, local businesses, software, system, anything. It does not matter. It works for every service. Now, I'm going to use one example just to make it very, very clear. In my world, we use this for something called AI Legacy. Now, this is a system built on GoHighLevel that installs automations into businesses so that they can convert leads automatically, they can reactivate old databases, they can generate referrals, they can build reviews on autopilot. In simple terms, it makes them money without more effort. So we install that system. So I'm going to give you this workshop example with that context, just so we have something to talk about here. But don't get stuck on the tech side of things. The workshop strategy works no matter what you sell. It does not matter. I'm just giving you context. So here's the core idea behind it all. Selling is not about scripts. It's not about objections. It's not about confidence tricks or trying to put on a persona, right? Selling is all about time spent with you. And workshops multiply that time in a way that nothing else does. But here's how it actually works. Before day one even starts on a workshop, we have emails going out to the prospects, warming them up. We have posts going out to the prospect, warming them up. We've got short, condensed 2-3 minute long videos automatically being sent to the prospect because it builds familiarity. We're not selling anything, we're not pitching. All we're doing is helping. That's the secret. We're just helping people all the time. Because, well, why do I do this? Because it's already time spent with you. When I'm talking about 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours spent with you, it's not in person, right? It's automatic, it's behind the scenes. They're consuming, they're engaging, they're consuming content in their own time. They're thinking about things. And that's the magic. It's all time spent with you. Then day one happens. So the day one of the workshop happens and they spend 60 to 90 minutes with you. They learn from you there, right? That's how long a workshop is, 60 to 90 minutes. It's not huge, it's not tremendous. Honestly, 60 minutes is normally the length of the content itself. 30 minutes is usually frequently asked questions or Q&A if you're live. You can do it pre-recorded, you can do it live. You can choose. Now, after day one, this is where it gets interesting. They start thinking about it. They ask questions. They mentally apply it to their own business. So instead of trying to tell them to apply it to their business, they sit with it. They digest the information and then they start to apply it to their business after the workshop. But all of this is more time spent with you, except you're not the one spending time with them. It's automatic. Now, before day two happens, day two can go live. What did they do? We send an email out telling them to rewatch day one, refresh their memory. You remind them, you refresh their thinking, you reposition them, which is more time spent with you. Now, here's the magic thing that happens here. How many times on a sales call, and I want you to listen closely here, how many times on a sales call have you heard, I need to think about it? I've got to sleep on it. But what did they just do? Day one to day two, they slept on it. Now, what happens when someone, on these sales calls, when someone sleeps on it? Things happen in life. They've got to walk the dog. Someone comes to the door. They've got to go to their family's home. Whatever happens, life happens. They get emails, letters, everything. Life happens. It gets in the way. It gets them out of the way of thinking, right? They forget what you said. And they then develop their own thoughts and they cancel the follow-up call or they ignore you. What am I doing? Day two, I'm reframing it once again. I'm, to some extent, controlling how they think. I'm feeding them the right information. I'm telling them how to think. And as a result, it gets them to show up for day two or watch day two of the workshop. So I'm reframing all the time. All these issues you have with sales calls, They're engineered, right? We've engineered the solution to those. Now, day 2 then happens with you. Now, they're not just listening anymore in day 2. They're thinking, this could actually work for me. They're putting themselves in their own shoes with this system. After day 2, the questions they ask you change. Day 1, they tend to ask more strategy questions. Day 2, they start asking more implementation questions. They're now thinking, okay, if this was going to be in my business, what would it look like? How does it impact me? So they're putting themselves in the shoes. That's the beauty of it. Now, this means something huge has already happened and you haven't done anything. They've decided they want this before you've actually offered anything. I told you it was like reverse selling, right? I haven't offered anything, but they want whatever it is that I have. Then day 3 happens. And now you're no longer speaking as a marketer. You're no longer seen as a salesperson. You are seen in day 3 as the person who understands their business. And this is where everything flips, because now when they book a call, it doesn't feel like selling. If they book a call with you at this point, they know who you are already. They know everything. They know the product, the services, the problems, the solutions, everything. And it just feels like order taking. Now, I want you to think about this compared to webinars, right? And it beats webinars every single time. Webinars try to persuade quickly. They pitch extremely hard. We've all been there before. We've all been on webinars where they give you the rags to riches story. Then they give you like 110 testimonials from anywhere. Then they just pitch you for the rest of it. And then they put a deadline on you. And that's just how a webinar works. This does not do that at all. Webinars try to persuade. They push urgency. Workshops do the exact opposite of this. They slow everything down. They remove pressure. They build safety in that environment with you. And here's the psychology behind it. People make better decisions when 3 things exist: clarity, safety, and momentum. Workshops create all of these. They create clarity by going through it at pace, making sure and explaining in a few different ways, different angles, to make sure they understand something very clearly. They can ask questions before and after to make sure they can apply it to their own environment. Safety, because day 1 we haven't sold anything, day 2 we haven't sold, day 3 95% we're not selling anything. It creates this environment of trust and safety. And then of course, momentum. Momentum doesn't always have to be physical. It can actually be mental. So they make mental progress on understanding what the problems are in their business and what that solution would actually look like. They build hope behind the solution. This is momentum, this is dopamine, this is excitement and progress. So we create all 3 of these. We're engineered to create all 3 of these. Now, here's a simple framework. Day 1 is not about your product. It's not about your service or product at all. Day 1 is about reframing their world. You show them that it's not their fault, that they may be stuck, they may have certain problems. It's not their fault. They're not bad at business. They do not lack effort. They lack the infrastructure. And again, remember, this is for the context of AI legacy. They feel relief, right? In their heads, they blame themselves. They don't know why they struggle. So they blame themselves. And it creates this sense of pressure. Well, the first thing we do is we remove all of that pressure. We help them build their confidence back up. So they feel this sense of relief from the pressure. Relief creates trust. Trust opens up everything else. So we have to show them it's not their fault. Day 2 is more about the implementation, the systems. Now, day 1, we expose their problems, okay? So we build that trust, we expose the problems that they have and explain that it's not their fault, just like I was saying. Day 2 is where we introduce the system itself. Not selling the system, not even hinting that there is something to buy, more so just introducing the solution to their problem, right? The bridge. We're not showing features, we're not showing it as tools, we're showing it only as outcomes, what they actually want. So for example, in the context of AI legacy, missed calls become automated solutions. We can capture all the calls. Having no reviews, we implement a system, and they can have a system where they can drive their reviews forwards. If they don't have referrals coming in, we can build a system that generates referrals and increases their customer base automatically, which doesn't require any ad spend. And if they have leads they have purchased, or they have run marketing before, run ads and such, and they have a huge list of leads, we can reactivate those. We can drive revenue from their existing customer base. So again, I'm not saying we can install this in their business. All I'm saying is, here's the solution. It's a case of, we know the problem is you don't have any reviews. Here's how you solve that. We know you're missing calls and missing business. Here's how you solve that. We know that you don't have any referrals. Here's how you solve that and grow your customer base. You're wasting leads, or you've got a big list of leads that just gather dust. Here's how you solve that problem. Here's how you make money from solving that problem. And what we're going to do is we're going to show them that the systems require less work, they have better results, which creates the desired outcome that they want. Easy outcome solution. That's how it works. So it's all about making sure it's not more work, this is less work with better outcomes. But now something powerful happens. They want this outcome. They want it. But they feel overwhelmed building it. And that's exactly where we want to lead them to, because that sets us up for day 3. Now, day 3 is about decision clarity. You show them 2 different paths. You show them how they build this themselves. Now, we do not hold information back. It's not a case of, if you want to build this, you have to work with this. No, we will give you everything. We will show you exactly how you have to build this yourself. The depth, what it takes, the expertise that it takes, how you can get those expertise, how long it takes, the cost involved to build it yourselves. Absolutely, we can help them. Then we show them path number 2. This is the sale. How we can fast track it. I'm not selling them the concept or the idea. I'm selling them the fast track implementation. They already want it at this point. Now, by showing them that they can build it themselves, I'm giving them the solution, but then I'm saying, if you want to go faster with no friction, we can just do it for you. So I'm not selling something, I'm just solving the next problem, right? So I'm never ever selling throughout this. And you can ask them, do you want to do this the hard way or do it the easy way? Turns logic into momentum. And by this point, they already trust you. So the real question is, do they want to go faster or do they want to go slower? They already want to do it. So the choice is, do they want to go fast or do they want to go slow? And that's it. That's all a 3-day workshop is. Taking them through that process. Problem, solution to that problem, implementation. That's it. The secret is day 1 is 100% value, no sales. Day 2, 100% value, no sales. Day 3, 95% value, 5% not sales, but simply fast tracking the implementation. That's it. The next logical step. That's all we have to do. This is a 3-day workshop, and this is how we get 10 clients turning into 30 clients, 50 clients in 3 days. That's the magic behind it. Not because you sold harder, you just removed all the friction. And here's the real secret. This isn't a sales strategy. It's a trust compression vehicle. You collapse time, you collapse uncertainty, build clarity, and you remove all the hesitation. And that's why this works. When everything else struggles, this works incredibly well because it shifts, it flips the idea of sales and it leads with value. It's built on human behavior, not sales tactics. And here's what I want you to realize. Most people will never ever use this, not because it doesn't work, but it requires patience, right? It requires patience instead of pressure. You now understand something that changes how selling works completely. If this clicked for you, save the video, store the URL for the video, share it with people that you think would benefit from this. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. I respond to everything. And make sure when you think about this, you understand that this is not about selling or pushing a product on someone. This is about reverse engineering it, creating demand so they want the product before you've ever actually sold it. That's how we can create that pent-up energy, that tension, that hype, without ever being hypey, if that's even a word. But this is how we do it. That's the magic of the 3-day workshop. This is creating demand on command. Once you see this model, you'll look at everything very, very differently.